In our modern world, we heavily depend on various modes of transportation like planes, trains, and automobiles to facilitate our journeys to different destinations. However, as technology advances of our vehicles age, we often replace them with newer options and may choose to sell the old ones. Yet, there are instances where these vehicles end up abandoned or lost instead of finding new owners. So in this video, we'll explore some truly remarkable and extraordinary abandoned vehicles that have been found. Let's dive into the video and explore these fascinating findings. Car Cemetery Belgium, known for its exquisite chocolate and beer, held another unique attraction until a decade ago, a captivating and notorious scrapyard. The Ecto1 Car Cemetery, nestled in a forest, displayed an astonishing spectacle reminiscent of a forgotten traffic jam. The sight of rows upon rows of old cars, many of them rusted American models, sparked rumors that they had been abandoned by American forces after World War II. However, further investigation revealed a different truth. These cars actually belonged to Canadian Air Force troops stationed in the nearby town of Virton during the late 1940s as part of a NATO alliance. Due to the small size of Virton, the responsibility of repairing the troops' extensive fleet fell upon a lone mechanic of Châtillon. However, when France withdrew from NATO in 1966, the Canadian troops departed, leaving behind the mechanic and his overwhelming collection of hundreds of cars in the relatively tiny town. Orient Express. Once renowned as the pinnacle of luxury and grandeur, the Orient Express train journeys were synonymous with opulence and lavishness. These first-class excursions offered passengers exquisite cuisine and breathtaking vistas. The trains themselves were meticulously adorned, making it all the more disheartening to witness one languishing in decay, forgotten and neglected. Urban explorer Brian Roman stumbled upon his forsaken Orient Express carriage in a train yard in Belgium. Having spent over half of a century there since its retirement, he managed to venture inside and capture photographs that still revealed traces of its former splendor. However, the passage of time has taken its toll, as decades of rust have ravaged its structure, causing it to crumble. This priceless artifact of history deserves a place in the museum where its significance can be properly preserved, rather than being left to wither away in an isolated railway station where it goes unnoticed and unappreciated. MAZ 7904. Behold, the forsaken MAZ 7904, an awe-inspiring sight that resembles a colossal mechanized caterpillar with its multiple wheels and split cabin. These Soviet-era MAZ trucks and tractors were ingeniously crafted during the tense Cold War era to transport ever-growing nuclear missiles. The MAZ 7904, in particular, emerged as a six-axle, 12-wheeled behemoth capable of carrying mind-boggling loads of up to 220 tons. However, the chassis itself weighed a staggering 140 tons, necessitating its colossal 9-feet diameter wheels to support an astounding 30 tons each. The vehicle's weight posed such a significant challenge that a team of 100 specialists was assembled to ensure its functionality. Introduced in 1983, the MAZ 7904 stretched over 100 feet in length and spanned 22 feet in width. Equipped with a turbocharged 42.2-liter engine generating a formidable 1,500 horsepower, its maximum speed was a mere 16 miles per hour, hampered by the immense weight it carried. Unfortunately, the prototype exhibited poor handling, an unfavorable trait for a vehicle intended to transport world-ending nuclear warheads. Despite extensive efforts invested in its development, the MAZ 7904 never fulfilled its intended purpose and was left to decay in a hangar in Kazakhstan, having never borne the weight of a nuclear payload. Classic cars. During the demolition of an old house in North Carolina, builder David Mount stumbled upon an astonishing discovery that left him astounded. Concealed within the property's basement and buried beneath years of overgrown vegetation in the garden, he uncovered a treasure trove of 10 rare and classic cars. Among the remarkable collection were notable vehicles like a 1933 Plymouth Roadster and a 1939 Chevrolet sedan, alongside custom-built cars that defy categorization. The original owners of these cars and the circumstances surrounding their abandonment remain a mystery. However, the property owner expressed no interest in keeping them, allowing David to claim ownership. While he has already sold some of the cars, David plans to keep and restore others, preserving these automotive gems from future enthusiasts to appreciate. The abandoned DC plane. Iceland is known for its mesmerizing black sand beaches formed by volcanic basalt. And among these remarkable landscapes lies an unusual sight, the Solhamasundur plane wreck. This wreckage belongs to a twin-engine cargo plane, its fuselage now hollowed out and stripped bare by the relentless Arctic winds that whip through the region. Though it may appear like a scene from a post-apocalyptic world, the wreckage actually holds the remnants of a chilling incident that took place on November 21, 1973. On that fateful day, the C-117 plane carrying a crew of 5 was en route to a U.S. naval station in Iceland when they encountered a sudden and drastic drop in temperature to a bone-chilling 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Ferocious Arctic gusts reaching speeds of 60 miles per hour battered the aircraft, causing both engines to freeze up in a frightening display of ice. The plane plummeted from the sky and crash-landed on the beach. Yet, incredibly, all 5 crew members survived unharmed. The U.S. military eventually rescued them, but not before salvaging what they could from the grounded aircraft. Wings were clipped, engines were removed, and any salvageable items were taken away, leaving behind the haunting 5-ton shell strewn across the sandy expanse. Batmobile. It's truly puzzling that a 1990s-style Batmobile, a car that millions of Batman fans dreamed of owning, has been abandoned and left to decay in the woods. If one were fortunate enough to possess such a vehicle, it would be cherished like a prized possession, or even sold at a high price to someone who would appreciate it. That's why it's disheartening to see this Batmobile, reminiscent of the one driven by Michael Keaton in Tim Burton's Batman films, reduced to a mere shell in its current state. The photographer who stumbled upon it has chosen not to disclose its location, perhaps harboring thoughts of claiming it for themselves. Nevertheless, it remains a sad sight, as such an iconic symbol of Batman's legacy deserves better than being left forgotten and deteriorating in the wilderness. Ecto1 Car. The Ecto1 Car from Ghostbusters may not have reached the same level of iconic status as the Batmobile, but it remains one of the most easily recognizable vehicles in movie history. While many assume the cars were originally hearse models, they were actually repurposed from 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor ambulances. During the filming of the second Ghostbusters movie, 3 Ecto1 vehicles were used. One of them is owned by Dan Aykroyd, another is owned by Sony Pictures and used for exhibitions, and the third, as seen in the photos, is in a state of disrepair. In 2007, plans were made to refurbish and restore the car, but for unknown reasons, the restoration project was abandoned. Since then, the fate of this old movie car has been uncertain. A group of devoted Ghostbusters fans even petitioned Sony to sell them the car at scrap value so they could undertake its restoration. Mil Mi-6. In the vast marshes of Russia's Yamalo-Nenets district, located around 1,500 miles from the capital of Moscow, a formidable presence hides amidst the swamplands. Although it may resemble a wild creature, it is, in fact, the wreckage of an aging Mil Mi-6 helicopter. These colossal helicopters, measuring 108 feet in length and weighing an astonishing 30 tons, were pioneers of their time when they were first manufactured in the 1950s. However, in 1981, while flying at an altitude of approximately 500 feet, both engines of this particular Mi-6 suddenly failed. The 5-member crew crash-landed into the marsh below, miraculously escaping any injuries. Unfortunately, the helicopter sustained severe damage. An investigation later revealed that refueling workers had mistakenly filled the helicopter's tanks with a mixture of gasoline and water, resulting in the engine failure. Surprisingly, no efforts were made to recover the vehicle. Instead, it has languished abandoned in the swamp for over 4 decades, succumbing to the elements and experiencing further theft, including the removal of its engines and tail section. Narco Tanks. If you've ever watched any of the Mad Max movies, you might have come across a tank that bears a resemblance to this one. In a dystopian world depicted in those films, vehicles are assembled using whatever spare parts and available materials can be found at that time. This tank follows a similar ideology. It looks and moves like a tank, but it's evident that it doesn't adhere to military standards. That's because it was constructed by and for Mexican drug lords. The authorities in Mexico have come across several of these tanks, known as Narco Tanks, in the state of Tamaulipas. Concerns have arisen recently about the increasing sophistication of these tanks. Some models boast sniper's peepholes, swiveling central turret, and capability to release oil and nails onto the road behind them. Built on truck beds, the tanks utilize 1-inch thick steel plating as their body, accommodating up to 20 people inside at once. So far, these narco tanks have not been used in confrontations with the police. Instead, they serve as vehicles for rival drug gangs during their battles against each other. Space shuttles. In the desolate landscapes of Kazakhstan, A remarkable find awaits urban explorers, forgotten remnants of Russia's ill-fated space shuttle program. Within an abandoned hangar, frozen in time for decades, lie two fully intact multi-million-dollar space shuttles, slowly succumbing to rust. Despite their completeness, these shuttles never embarked on a journey beyond Earth's atmosphere. The project was abandoned by the government, and their construction likely concluded in the 1970s or 1980s, during Russia's fierce space race rivalry with the United States. The cancellation of funding for such endeavors came in 1993 under former Russian President Boris Yeltsin during a period of economic hardship. Since then, no one has returned to resume work on these artifacts of space exploration, leaving them as poignant reminders of unfulfilled ambitions. Now, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, and you will be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thank you for watching.